When life throws you a curveball, how are you going to handle adversity? Welcome to the Fearless Mindset Podcast, where you're about to go on a journey as I interview security, business, and entertainment leaders on what it takes to stay fearless. I'm your host, Mark Ludlow, and enjoy today's episode. Hello, everybody. This is Mark with the Fearless Mindset Podcast, and today we are lucky to have the Fox News contributor, CNN contributor, Cory Mills joins us from Florida. We know he's a very busy guy with everything going on in the world. And Cory, I'm glad you're safe. First of all, I'm glad you're back stateside. I know you've been making trips to Afghanistan due to your appearances on different networks. And thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm glad to be with you. Thanks again, Mark.
So, everybody is talking about it's on the news 24/7. Are you able to share what you're seeing over there in Afghanistan right now with the trips you've made back and forth, and how has it affected your business and people you're involved with?
Well, I mean, I've obviously had to take a big pause with regards to my campaign. I'm running for Congress here in Florida's 7th District. Also, the good thing is my businesses are already being run by a brilliant CEO, the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for SOCT. Andrew Nags, amazing guy. So my businesses are doing well from that perspective. With regards to Afghanistan, I think we're continuing to see a perpetual growth in terrorist activity. I think that when you're looking at the formed cabinet that has the acting Minister of Interior as a member of the Haqqani network, when you've got ISIS-K, who is increasing their presence there, who will certainly challenge Taliban to turn Afghanistan into the Caliph. I think when you're seeing the Taliban try and go forward with its original objectives to impose Sharia law, but yet not be a compromising government in any way, they will deny the rights, the liberties of females. They will try and go back to what it was pre 9/11. They will try to go forward with the public hangings and executions and basically just rule by fear. And so that's going to continue to increase. My concern with that, Mark, is that regardless of what Department of State says or the U.S. government, there's still thousands of Americans that are trapped over there. There's thousands of Americans that the Biden administration left behind. There was people that, and again, I'll go and correct one misconception. The Biden administration and the media continues to say that there was 160 plus Afghans killed outside on the Abbey Gate explosion of 13 U.S. service members on the inside. I will tell you with absolute confirmation that there was Americans also that was outside that gate who died as well. There was a woman and her 2-year-old son and her father who we were actually trying to get out of there when our plane was denied landing permits at KIA, even though we already had approved PPR landing permits. Congressman Mark Wayne Mullen was in contact with her after the Abbey Gate explosion. We've never heard from her again. We have complete comms blackout. And we believe with the utmost confidence that she has perished. Now, if she was out there waving her blue passport, trying to get into that gate as long as many others, how many Americans truly perished in that Abbey Gate explosion? How many people are complicit in their deaths for not allowing a better strategy in order to secure our Americans? And why on earth did we not maintain Bagram Air Base, which had 30 to 40,000 people that could have been staged there with chow halls, with shops, had runways, had everything accessible for a full-scale evacuation, and you give that over before your withdrawal, and you consolidate yourself into a tiny strategic bubble that you can be encircled by, it just doesn't make sense. It's almost as if they purposely and intentionally failed this withdrawal.
Yeah, it's you said it best right there. You can't say it better than how you explained it. It's just the military family right now is, we're all angry. We're all pissed off. We're better than this. Our United States of America is better than this. And the world knows this. And I think we're all grieving with you. We're just in disgust and disappointment because we're United States of America military, the best fighting force in the world. And the world knows that. And what's your, I know that there's a Marine officer that kind of went out on a limb on LinkedIn and just, he viewed his thoughts of leadership, and he just went out there and just said it. And that's unheard of. And I've never seen it before, that publicly. What's your thoughts on leadership from the top ranks down to the bottom ranks? Is there some things that need to be addressed, you think, or what's your thoughts?
Well, I'll tell you right now, what we're seeing in America is we have a crisis in leadership. We don't have leadership at all right now. We have things that are nepotistic and political by nature. We don't have people willing to lead from the front. Again, we know a lot more George Pattons, a lot less Mark Milley's. I think that the problem that we have, and I applaud that Colonel for coming forward, putting his career on the line to tell the truth, because the reality is we were told after being denied 4 times, circling at 9,000 feet with landing gear down, looking to descend, we could have rescued 25 Americans that day and got them out. But instead, we were denied and told, well, unless you have Chairman Milley's approval, you're not coming back in here. They even scrambled an F-16 to try and utilize as intimidation, even though we had a November tail number aircraft, which means we're an American aircraft. So look, bottom line is there's a crisis in leadership. Mark Milley needs to be gone. Lloyd Austin needs to be gone. Biden needs to be impeached. Harris needs to be gone for her reactions and leadership or lack of leadership on the border. There's just a real issue right now in the military, and the military has changed its nonsense to let's focus on critical race theory. Let's focus on social acceptance and social experimentation. We need to get back to what we do best. We're war fighters. We look at the ideas of nation building as something that was back in the Bush era that we've seen fail time and time again. Keep our nation safe, keep our Americans safe, because that is the actual responsibility of our governments, to keep American citizens safe, which they have failed to do in Afghanistan, and lead from the front. We no longer have that lead by example mentality, and we need to get back to basic leadership.
Yeah, bingo. I can't agree more. Now, Cory, I'm really curious. We have a national security issue. Being a Marine, I'm concerned even, because now we got this vacuum taking place in Afghanistan. And I talked to like Michael Trout and guys like that are out there, and Fred Burton with the ONTIC. And my thoughts are, we got an open border, which is no news. We have people coming over that border. And my biggest concern is we're going to be getting punched in the nose a few times. Like, I hate to say it, I don't want to even mention it out of my mouth, but I'm afraid we're going to have another 9/11 here shortly.
I agree with you, Mark. I mean, how do you avoid the fact that we know that at minimum we had 4 Yemeni adult males that were captured on the border in July who are all 4 on the terrorist watch list. So that's 4 that we caught. How many did we not catch, Mark? And it's like I tell people all the time. This is the analogy I use. Get a huge bowl from your home and pour a huge bag of Skittles inside. And I want you to take 4 laced with cyanide pills that look like Skittles and put them inside. Would you put your hand in that bowl? Because if you wouldn't, then you're facing exactly what we have right now, which is that our borders are open and you only know what you're seeing, not what you're not seeing. And let me tell you something. This border crisis goes far deeper than just a immigration moratorium requirement. What this actually does is it's a humanitarian issue. It's a medical issue. We talk about how, regardless of your opinions on COVID, we talk about COVID increase and outburst. Well, you have people in the United States who are being muzzled and being forced to carry around a vaccine card, but yet we have immigrants coming across by the hundreds of thousands who are already COVID positive coming into the nation. So now you got a medical health risk involved. You've got a risk of them actually coming in, committing crimes, which we've already seen, by the way, by the hundreds of thousands. And let's look at the overarching thing on children. We have child abduction that's increased in South America. We got drug cartels that are thriving like never before. We've got, women who are coming across for sex trafficking right now into America that are being shuttled in by cartels and by mules. This is all preventable. And this could have been done if you'd have had the stay in Mexico agreement that Trump had put in place, if you'd have maintained building of the border wall and securing the wall, because here's the hypocrisy, Mark. The Democrats say that border walls don't work. Okay. But what was the first thing they did around the U.S. Capitol? They put up a wall. They increased security. They proved the fact that it actually does prevent people from entering. But what it is, they want this Biden-Harris created crisis, because if we stay on the current path, by the way, we're at risk of getting 2 million illegal immigrants in the country before the end of the year. And they're being sent all across the country to red states. Why do you think they're in red states? Because they're going to try to force HR1 across. So you have no signature verifications. You have no voter ID checks. You have no registration updates. And they're going to vote to cancel out and censor and quiet the American voice. And that's why I jumped into this race to run for Congress, because we have to be, as a constitutionalist and as an American, we have to protect our democracy.
Wow. That was That's some gold nuggets from a national security standpoint. If you're in the private sector, you want to know what's going on. Cory just told you. Cory, you own a security firm. You're a consultant. I'm sure you got stuff going on all around the world. What are your clients requesting from you right now, stateside? What are they most fearful of?
Well, I'll tell you, I think everyone's scared of just an increase in criminality. I think that when we're looking at things, and we have to take the Venezuela model into perspective here, when Chavez started increasing his socialist approach or his Marxist approach, you started seeing rapid inflation. You started also seeing rapid criminality increase. And so, I think right now from a stateside high net worth family, they certainly have to take into account the increase in criminality. They have to start looking at the rapid inflation and how it's going to impact us economically. We have to start looking at the fact that we're putting in tens of thousands of Afghans here in the United States that had no tashkera, had no passports, had no way to really verify who they were. No biometrics had already been completed by this time from OFAC to do the scans. You got hundreds of thousands from the southern border, from China, from Yemen, from all over South and Central America, from Haiti. And again, I'm still wanting to know the question, how does people from Haiti make it 56 or 6,000 miles on their own to get even to the landmass, to get to the border without having some type of financial help, financial support? Where's CBP? Where's Coast Guard? So there's, this huge, massive influx of illegal immigrants coming in. Where is that actually being permitted? Why are we having our Border Patrol stand down? Why are we now telling them they can't even utilize horseback when we know that this treacherous terrains? Why are we refusing to, do the basics to secure our border and secure our nation? Again, if you're a country without a border, you're not a country. That's the bottom line. And so our clients, whether it be here in the United States or elsewhere, they're obviously always focusing on the basics of, terrorist activities and criminality and, things like that, which I agree with you, Mark. We're going to see these small spider cells resurge. We're going to see activities in America from terrorist activities increase. And it's because of our southern border, and it's because of the Biden-Harris administration.
Yeah, that's people ask me all the time, what's my thoughts having a podcast and have guests like yourself on? I'm like, I hate to tell you, but this is, A through Z. It's you can see it. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I can even see it happening before it's happening because of all the variables involved. And another question for you, so the audience can get to know you more. They don't watch the news, Cory. Your background is Army. And how many years did you spend in the Army?
So I was a member of the Joint Special Operations Command and the 82nd Airborne Division for a while. I was on their Scout Recon teams. I did about 5 years in total there. Went on to do 5 years with the State Department and other government agencies to support them in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Pakistan, Ukraine, even in parts of Somaliland, out in the Puntland areas of Hargeisa and things like this. I actually am a fluent Iraqi speaker. So that's where, spending 7+ years in Iraq, that was really valuable from an intel perspective. Also, just from the basics on being able to do surveillance advanced missions, things like that for other operations. So that was my original background, kind of coming from this amalgamation of a medical, special operations, intelligence, development, consulting type of deal. So like all of us, I even did anti-piracy in 2011 for a while off of Bab el-Mandeb and Somalia and Yemen and places like this after the Maersk, Alabama incident. So, I'm a bit of a mutt and jack of all trades in that area.
A little bit of a mutt. Is there anything you don't like doing that's not high risk?
Not much. Jumping without a parachute would be the only thing I can include in there.
On a lighter note, thank you for your service. And I know you're doing a lot. You've done a lot of missions back and forth to Afghanistan, pulling people out. How many missions have you done so far?
So our primary operation when we went in there, just to give you an idea and background. So sure. I had a contact with Congressman Ronnie Jackson and Congressman Mark Wayne Mullen, who I truly applaud. These were congressional members who didn't just look at their titles, but they looked at their oath and what they were actually sworn to do, and that was protect the people in their districts. And, we had Mark Wayne Mullen, who had gotten a tag from the Oklahoma National Guard on this family. And then we had Ronnie Jackson, because this family actually is an Amarillo resident, who was in his district, who asked for our support because they weren't getting support from the State Department or even the DOD or even within their own internal system there at the House. And so our primary mission when we originally went over there was we were compiling a list, and I was a member of a team. I wasn't the leader of a team. There was no defined leader. We were all just working towards, a common purpose and goal. all former special operations guys, whether that come out of Delta, out of CAG, the unit, or Ranger Regiment, or in the SF communities. And so, we put this team together. We went over there for a specific mission. Our list continued to grow, and we continue to find out, well, okay, how many people are truly over there? Because now we're getting contact, and there's SIVs, and there's P1s, and there's green cards, and there's other Americans, and there's people who've just witnessed their family being slaughtered in the streets that are now on the run. And we continue to build this list out. Our most notable rescue, though, was the one that we originally went over there for, which is Miriam and her 3 children, all born and raised in Amarillo, Texas. And I won't release how we crossed them over. Obviously, that's operationally compromising, so we're still running operations. The teams are over there doing things. Although our operations are continuing to change, our con op is continuing to change for obvious reasons because situation dictates. Yep. But I'll tell you, there was no greater feeling than getting this mother and her 3 children across after we had one of our members who was brilliant, speaks 5 languages, so he's able to communicate, and we were able to negotiate with the Taliban commanders to get her release. Wow. And she is the first they are the first Americans to successfully be a part of a ground evacuation out of Afghanistan since the fall of Kabul.
Wow. That's inspirational. Now, if I'm a vet, I just heard that just motivates me to be a proud American just over that story of what you guys did for her. And I saw that picture of you guys on LinkedIn, and I'm like, oh, there's Cory. Okay. All right. He's coming on the podcast. I got to hear the story. But,
and I'll tell you, Mark, the thing I keep telling people, I get it. I'm a conservative, right?
Yeah, sure.
But this isn't a Republican or Democrat issue. This isn't defined with America by whether it's President Trump or President Biden or whoever sits in the Oval. Right. These are Americans. And so as Americans, we have an obligation to support and protect our own. And so, at the end of the day, regardless of who's in the Oval Office, regardless of how you vote on your down ticket, we're all Americans. We have to look out for each other. And that's what it's about right now because the CCP, China, the great superpower resurgence, the Democrats, the socialists, they want to divide us as a nation because it benefits them in trying to conquer. It's divide and conquer or stand and unite. We have to, as Americans, regardless of our political affiliations, we have to stand together. We have to protect this nation. We have to get back to our constitutional laws and liberties. We have to stop mob mentality. And that's really what I hope that this inspires, more so than anyone trying to label things as a heroic effort. I want it to demonstrate and show that as Americans, we will always stand for Americans.
You're out of that. Now, here's a question for you, Cory. How many vets have you heard of seeing that are going back and forth? I'm guessing it must be hundreds, maybe thousands. Okay.
A lot.
You probably don't want to give out.
I really don't even know the exact number. I know there's quite a few teams out there who are doing amazing things. I'll tell you, my hat goes off to a good buddy of mine, Chad Robichaux, who's been doing amazing stuff.
Right.
Also a former Marine, so I'll give him his hoorah devil dog as he deserves. And but I'll tell you, again, I look at people who really stand above. I look at this mother and her children who she had a gun held to her head on multiple occasions by the Taliban. We were on call at one of those. I look at great congressional leaders like Congressman Ronnie Jackson, Congressman Mark Wayne Mullen, who deserve a tremendous amount of credit. I credit all of those special operations veterans who are still going back and forth to help save and protect Americans, but also protect some of the SIVs who served alongside of us and stood shoulder to shoulder with us and risked their lives for the American mission. It's not about me. It's not about any one person. It's about the group of Americans who are doing extraordinary things. And again, they're still over there continuing to do extraordinary things.
Keep in mind, I just want the audience to know that these veterans are not probably getting paid to do this. They're doing this out of their free will.
And so a lot of times it's at our own dime.
There you go, folks. So if you're an independent or, Democrat and you think these corporations are paying us to go over there to do these service, no, it's volunteer. Like Cory just said, out of their own pockets.
I didn't get paid a single dime, and I didn't ask for a single dime because the whole point was we were there to help this family. And there's a lot of veterans over there who are on their dime, not being paid, out of work right now, off their jobs. A lot of us are retired, so that's a benefit. So you still get your retirement. But I'll tell you what was even more disgusting, Mark, a lot of Americans don't know. Did you know that the Biden administration even threatened to utilize an old article that would deny military veterans who have retired their benefits if they were basically to violate his rule of not having us go over there to help Americans get out. And I wanted to say it was something like Article 88 or Article 18 or something like this, but he was actually threatening penalties against military vets who were volunteering to go over there and do what he failed to do, which is to protect and get out Americans. Disgusting.
Cory, I'm speechless. I'm speechless. I'm just shaking my head going, what the heck?
Yep.
Being a Marine, I would say other words that,
It's a PG podcast.
Yes. Audience and kid friendly. It's educational information for the audience.